The Oireachtas Joint Committee on Housing, Planning and Local Government has today been hearing from homeless support agencies about the impact that living in emergency accommodation has on children. The Mercy Law Resource Centre, a charity providing free legal advice to homeless families, told the committee that one night only accommodation causes significant distress and chaos for children and their parents. For more on this, I'll be joined by Rebecca Keatinge, Managing Solicitor with the Mercy Law Resource Centre. But first, our reporter Della Kilroy today visited a homeless family living in a B&B in Ashbourne. Single mother Prissa has been homeless since January and spent 2 months with her children in night-by-night emergency accommodation.
I just moved from the UK back here, so I was homeless. I had nowhere to stay with my kids. I've got 4 kids, 9, 6, 2 and 1.
So you came from Ireland when you were a teenager, from Nigeria, to be with the rest of your family. You left to find a job in the UK, and after being there for a few years, you came back after Brexit. What made you want to come back to Ireland?
I've got family here. With the Brexit happening in the UK, things have changed, and I thought maybe I'll be more safe here with my family. Now I'm back with my kids. I'm expecting me and my kids to be safe in my country because they are Irish as well.
You were 2 months in night-to-night accommodation, something that's being discussed with the government today. What was that like, going from place to place, night after night, with 4 children?
When I go out in the morning and in the evening, if I have nowhere to go again, so I have to be ringing every day. And it was really difficult for me and my kids because sometimes I've got nowhere to go. So sometimes I just walk along the streets, just be walking around. Then when it's time in the evening, I'll come back with my kids.
2 of your children are in school. How did that impact?
They were out of school for some time. For almost 3 months, they were crying, and it really affected them. My kids, the 2 little ones, they were always sick, so I always take them to the hospital because of the weather. So they were exposed to so many things, cold, so many things outside. So yeah, that was it.
You're in a B&B in Ashbourne now. There's 3 beds for 5 of you.
Yeah.
Does that mean there's 2 in 1 bed?
Yeah, the 2 elders, they're on 1 bed, and me and the 2 boys, there's 2 little ones and 1 bed. There's no kitchen, just toilet and bedroom, and that's it. So it's been difficult for me, feeding the kids. They've been eating junk.
Here in Ashbourne now, are you having to bring them back and forth to Temple Street?
Yeah, the 9-year-old, she was infected. Her eyes were swollen. So I just went with her last week. My kids, they're always infected. I don't know what's wrong. Every 2 weeks, I have to go back to the Temple Street Hospital.
The Mercy Law Centre are helping you try and find more suitable accommodation. What are your hopes for your future of your family here?
It's really difficult at the moment because I've been going to view houses and everything. I've got a viewing today as well, but when you go and they tell you they'll get back to you, sometimes they don't, and it's really difficult. Sometimes when you get there and they see your kids, they wouldn't want to give you a house with the kids. And that was Prissa, a homeless mother of 4, speaking to Della Kilroy in a guest house in Meath earlier today. Rebecca Keatinge, Managing Solicitor with the Mercy Law Resource Centre, joins me in studio now. Rebecca, you've been working with families in similar situations to Prissa. Just remind us, how many children are in the situation that Prissa's children are in today?
Well, we know that from the last figures there are 3,821 homeless children, and there is a portion of those children who are exposed to this chronically unstable emergency accommodation. So these are families who are not placed in hotels. They're not able to source their own hotel booking. They're placed on 1 night only accommodation. So in Priska's case, unfortunately not an isolated case, she could not access her accommodation until 8 p.m. in the evening. She would have to leave at 9:30 in the morning. No secure place to go during the day, spending time in parks, on buses, on the streets, as we heard, and really having no access to schooling and no access to primary care, not knowing where you're going to be from one night to the other. And just one additional point on that, we know that the figures from that appear to be rising. So there were 80 families as of the 1st of June, I understand, who are on this chronically unstable provision, and we simply don't know why these families are placed on that provision and while other families are placed in a more stable and secure booking of emergency accommodation.
Yeah, because when we hear children in emergency accommodation, you assume it's some long-term stable hub or hotel even, as unsuitable as that might be. But this really is on another level of chaos, isn't it?
It absolutely is, and we see firsthand at Mercy Law the absolute distress and trauma of these families, and we see it as a provision that is simply not fit for purpose. And we see the problems in hotels, and we absolutely condemn that provision, as has been called on by the Minister to end that and called on in Rebuilding Ireland some 2 years ago. And yet we still have over half of homeless families in the Dublin region in commercial hotels, when Rebuilding Ireland said that they would be out of them by the middle of 2017. So it's very worrying that we have this chronic instability of one night only provision seemingly on the increase, and still this failure to move families out of hotels into what needs to be suitable, stable accommodation in transitional own-door accommodation.
Okay, I'm sorry, and Rebecca, we're going to have to leave it there. We will have you back in again to discuss that further. That's Rebecca Keatinge, Managing Solicitor with the Mercy Law Resource Centre. And there now we will go